Welcome to our Onboard Hospitality video slot, designed to keep the conversations between airlines and suppliers going through these toughest of times and to help us all make positive plans for the future. We're Zoom calling key players in our sector, asking them one big question on the future of in-flight service relevant to their area of expertise. And with me today is Joe Leader, CEO of IFSA, the International Flight Services Association. Welcome, Joe. And thanks
Julie,
for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on today. I really appreciate it. It's an incredible time for our industry, and we're all trying to make some lemonade from some of the lemons of 2020. So hopefully we're continuing that progress forward today.
Yes, and you're based in the US, I know, but I've seen a little online that you and your family, I think, have managed to do a bit of traveling recently. So tell us first, from your perspective, how's the new normal looking?
It's looking much better than I feared earlier this year. We did what everyone did as we were in the spring, is we basically put a stop to traveling for a couple of months. And then we've been we've actively traveled personally in a very safe way. I have to meet a higher bar of expectations because my wife is a medical doctor and surgeon. She has all of her patients that rely upon her, and she's taken care of COVID-19 patients. So it's very important that she remains well. We've traveled extremely actively. We're going again on a vacation to Jackson Hole to end our summer here. And the big thing we focused on is a lot of outdoor activities. The airplane flights, the airports have been quite safe, quite advanced. And the areas you have to be cautious about is where you let your guard down. Where are you interacting with people in close proximity, not wearing a mask? So we're pretty vigilant. And our flight experience and airport experience have been quite positive.
Good. Well, that's great to know, and that's where we all want to get to pretty soon, I'm sure. And thanks for taking time to chat with me today, because I know you've been pretty busy supporting members and lobbying on behalf of them. And most recently, I know you and your team have been developing the concept of a virtual expo to replace the IFSA Apex gathering that we had hoped we'd all be at in San Diego, but it wasn't to be. Onboard Hospitality is excited to be partnering with you for the virtual event. So I think to get us started, our one big question for you is, how do you see a virtual expo working for the hospitality sector?
That's a great question. It's great to work with Onboard Hospitality. We have a tradition through FT Apex Asia Expo, where we've worked together for years now. So taking it to the virtual world is really a great step forward. While the virtual expo is not designed to replace either Apex or IFSA Expo, it's designed to do what our entire industry needs to do this year, which is to come together and to make certain that we don't just meet over video the people that we know, but we're able to network and connect with all those that we don't know, the people that we really want to make sure that we meet and greet and show them an experience. From an onboard hospitality perspective, that means not only bringing them into a virtual booth, but some of our exhibitors are going to be sending out virtual expo kits so you can do tasting, so that you can, I was jealous because one of our whiskey providers is sending to our airline experts different samples of whiskey, and they'll do a whiskey tasting with them. So, from my perspective, I don't know about you, Julie, but I feel like after 2020, all of us needs that sample kit as soon as possible.
Absolutely, yes. Yes, I've seen some of the demos on the virtual event and was certainly impressed. But what caught your eye about the opportunities to kind of exhibit online? It's a kind of a different way of doing things, isn't it? But definitely got some interesting options.
It really has some incredible options. I think what you're going to be able to do is, because you're going to have many more airlines and key partner suppliers that actually are able to stop by. Because one of the greatest challenges, especially during an economic event as COVID-19 has brought to all of us, is it's not the expense of actually exhibiting, it's the expense of travel, it's the expense of food, of entertainment, everything around it. So now all we're doing is we're making it so everyone can come together more easily. As we've seen through our previous FT events, 60% of the people that are coming are ones that we don't historically see at our shows. So we're getting a much broader base from around the world. And I think that's really the beauty of having a 24-hour event, of making it so that we serve each and every time zone. And I think the challenge for some of our in-flight providers is really going to be making sure they have the right team members available for the right markets at the right time. It'll be basically, which shift are you doing? Because we're doing 3 days of events effectively in each one. So that means we're going to have 6 days of events in 2. And I can't wait for it. It'll be really beneficial because everyone can't wait to move past 2020 into 2021, where we really want our resurgence to begin.
Absolutely, yes. And I know there are some great plans already in hand for quite a comprehensive conference program. I think the theme is transforming air transport post COVID-19. Obviously, that's what we're all in the business of doing. It's clearly a topical subject. What sort of people do you expect to come and speak to us?
Well, the fun thing about this is that Apex and IFSA built an incredible relationship with so many CEOs and presidents across the industry. So we're going to have, from each region, we're going to have a who's who of speakers. I don't want to tip our hat too early, but it's going to be something we're very excited to roll out. In the agenda, we're going through that right now from a process perspective with each member of the executive teams of the different airlines. I think it will be some of the most inspirational content, because we've seen a really good job done by some CEOs at different airlines around the world in giving certainty to their team members and to their staffs. What I think there's an obligation to do now is that we need to be talking to the overarching industry, making sure that in each part of the world, it's not simply about our airline, but the resurgence of all of aviation into 2021. That's what we need to see and hear the plans about. And that's what we're going to have, talking from an executive perspective around what it will look like moving forward. And then also there's the tactical, there's getting into the weeds with small panels, because you want to make sure that it's not just from up on high, but the doers, the ones that are in charge of making things happen throughout the organization, are able to speak up as well. And then the other exciting thing, Julie, we'll have some parallel thinkers. So we'll be able to take some of the best lessons from other markets. It won't just be aviation. We'll be able to see some insights from other industries as to how they've taken what's come with COVID-19 and really made it so that they're able to come out of the gates charging for next year.
Who do you think will benefit most from viewing the event?
Well, I think we're going to see a much broader range across our airlines than we typically do at any of our single events. It's because we've created an environment unlike any other. I think from a airline side, we're going to see a large participation because this is the best of all worlds. They get to come in, hear leading thought providers, hear what others are thinking, and then they get to go around and in between sessions actually go into an area of interest. So if they want to see amenity kits, if they want to see environmentally friendly food options, if they want to go into these different sectors, they literally walk into that portion of the hall where like suppliers are together. It makes logical sense. It's not going through a website, it's going through an experience that's quite immersive and works in any platform. And then on the supplier side, I'm really enthused because I believe what's going to happen is this is going to be about meeting and greeting and doing what we technically always do at shows. We walk by a booth, we see if it's of interest, and we see if it's of interest, we want to interact with someone. What's unique here is that, I don't know about you, but as I've gone to shows in the past, I've ended up standing there waiting for a conversation to end, and I'm hopeful it'll end in 5 to 10 minutes, but what if it's 30? And if you get frustrated, you move along. What's really nice is you'll be able to, instead of virtually standing there, you'll be able to say, hey, I'd like to grab this appointment slot because this looks interesting to me, and I'll come back when you're available. That way, it's clearly communicated, it's not awkward, and I think it will set the stage for how we may have hybrid events in the future, how you may have physical booths where people are there on stand, but able to walk them through the experience even if they're far away.
Yes, and the exciting thing is you can actually show them around your own showroom, can't you? You know, take them to your office in a way that you've never been able to do before, unless they're willing to get on a plane to come to you.
That's really a great point. Is one of the ideas that I think would go flyingly well for us is having an amenity provider where I've been to their physical showroom and I've walked through, and in there they have every amenity kit from 50 different airlines all lined up. And that's a real investment of time, energy, and effort to, fly to a specific location to see all that. Versus if you schedule a time, you can make it so that in addition to your virtual booth, when you have your meeting, you're able to walk through this and they'll say, oh, can you show me what's in that one from this airline competitor? Or could you tell me about changes that have been made here and here related to personal protective equipment given in amenity kits now? It's going to be really fun because in a Zoom call like this, we're sitting here, we're static. When you're having an actual event, a show, you can have the person that normally would be in the booth conducting marketing with an executive from that supplier company walking around and actually making it a show and tell where you have one person on camera, the other person operating simply an iPhone, and you're able to go on the ultimate virtual experience tour without having to get on a plane right now.
And Joe, have you seen any positive news on the return of food and beverage to the in-flight experience yet?
There has been some great news. This came out through the Wall Street Journal in the past week. It's wonderful to see that American Airlines released numbers via the Wall Street Journal showing that their flight attendants, which make up 21% of their workforce, have less of a chance of getting COVID-19 than other employees. Like, this includes all their team members in the office, those that are in baggage and other areas. What that data shows us is that because American Airlines is being very forward-thinking and doing a fuller food and beverage service, that it means that it is safe for airlines to continue to do so without having to worry about negative impacts on their flight crews or passengers. We've seen airlines take a bit too much of a step back, and so what IFSA is doing now is we're asking all of our airlines and supplier members to anonymously share data with IFSA so that we can share with all of our airlines and with the industry in each segment of the world. We're seeing this pattern, meaning that you can safely serve food and beverage. Your flight attendants will not face an increased risk, which means that our passengers will not either. It's one of those areas where the simple steps we're taking with face coverings, with flight attendants going above and beyond in terms of sanitation and service, they're paying off. And so we should be able to get back to more of a normal food and beverage service sooner rather than later.
Just looking ahead, do you feel optimistic for the airline sector? Do you see some shoots of recovery coming and feel that governments worldwide are doing enough to support that?
I feel the beginnings of recovery on the horizon, but we as an industry need to take a much more vocal and assertive stance towards what I feel are ineffective barricades of different geographies and random quarantines. You don't know, we're actually conditioning people to be afraid to travel because you could plan your holiday from the UK to Spain one week, and the very next week, all of a sudden, oh yeah, when you come back, you're gonna be in your house for 14 days. Yeah. That's not just to citizens of any country. And just because there's an outbreak, for example, in one sector of the UK, of Spain, or different sectors of the United States are hotspots, does not mean that you need to treat the entire geographic area in a blanket measure. What we need for our airlines to really recover more strongly, the blockade should go away. We should turn to science-based testing, and whatever testing is needed in advance, upon return. I think people are fine with that. What they're not okay with is all of a sudden they have a plan, they're going on a business trip, a personal trip, and the rules change right before they go or while they're gone. That's not what we want to see. And I think that Apex and IFSA, along with all of our colleagues across the industry, with IATA, with others that are really trying to push for a better level set, will be able to do so in the next few months. And then governments around the world need to be taking a bit more interest in making sure the aviation sector is there for economic return. These are businesses that are not designed to be shut down for this period of time, and And I hope that more governments around the world take more assertive steps to support their airlines as needed, because that's what we need at the end of this. If we want economic recovery, the engines that provide the economic recovery must be there.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you, Joe. I think we'll wrap it up there. I must say, while I am a little sick of my home office, I'm keen to get out to meet real people again. But this event that we're working on will definitely have me glued to my seat. At least I feel it's really innovative and groundbreaking, and gives me a lot of hope that we can still meet and share ideas, and that's really what our industry is all about. So thank you for your time, and I look forward to sharing more updates on this with our readers and viewers in due course. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Julian. Thank you for all that Onboard Hospitality is doing to advance this to all of our suppliers. It really means the world to all of us at IFSA and Apex and beyond.
Thank you.